On a cold, moonless night, Sarah found herself alone in her grandfather's old, sprawling farmhouse. The house had been abandoned for years after his death, and she was there to sort through its remnants. Despite the chill that permeated the air, the old house seemed to come alive with an eerie warmth as she began her task. The wind howled outside, rattling the windows, but the house was unnervingly still. Sarah had always been skeptical of ghost stories, but the moment she stepped into the dimly lit kitchen, she felt an inexplicable shiver crawl down her spine. She brushed it off as nerves and continued her work. She explored room after room, each one filled with dusty furniture and forgotten mementos. As Sarah ventured into the attic, she discovered a small, locked trunk tucked away in a corner. Her curiosity piqued, she managed to force it open with a crowbar. Inside were old photographs, yellowed with age, and a collection of handwritten letters. The letters spoke of a family living in the house long ago, plagued by a malevolent presence. The final letter, dated the day before the family disappeared, described an entity that fed on fear and darkness, promising to take everything and everyone. Sarah dismissed it as the ramblings of a disturbed mind, but unease crept into her thoughts. Night fell, and Sarah decided to spend the night in the house, determined to prove to herself that the stories were nonsense. She set up a makeshift bed in the parlor, trying to ignore the chilling draft that seemed to seep through the walls. As she tried to sleep, the old floorboards creaked in a rhythm that felt almost like footsteps. Just before midnight, Sarah was jolted awake by a loud bang from the attic. Her heart raced, but she forced herself to investigate, grabbing a flashlight and a baseball bat. The attic door creaked open as if inviting her in. As she climbed the stairs, the air grew colder, and a dense darkness enveloped her. At the top of the stairs, Sarah felt a sudden pressure on her chest, as if an unseen force was pushing her back. She pressed on, driven by a mix of fear and curiosity. The trunk, now eerily open, sat at the center of the attic, its contents scattered around. The photographs and letters were gone, replaced by a single photograph of her own face, taken from an angle that no one could have been. Her flashlight flickered, and a low, guttural whisper filled the room. Sarah's breath came in ragged gasps as she spun around, the darkness thickening. Shadows twisted into grotesque shapes, and an overwhelming sense of dread washed over her. The whispers grew louder, a chorus of tortured voices warning her to leave. With her heart pounding, Sarah fled down the stairs, but the house seemed to have changed. The familiar layout was now a labyrinth of dark corridors and shifting walls. The whispers followed her, growing louder with each step. Desperate, she tried to find the front door, but it eluded her, always just out of reach. In a final, frantic effort, Sarah stumbled into the parlor, where a figure stood in the corner, its features obscured by darkness. It was the figure from the photograph, an amalgamation of terror and despair. As it moved closer, Sarah felt her strength drain away, her mind unraveling under the weight of the entity's presence. The next morning, the farmhouse stood silent and empty once more. Sarah was never seen again. The only sign of her presence was a single photograph found on the attic floor, showing her wide-eyed and terrified, with the words "Come find me" scrawled across it in what appeared to be blood.